So let's keep things very, very simple and straightforward. Something that's in a lot of people's face and it's still preventing them from being able to actually fix issues. Oftentimes, whenever state attorneys bring claims against you, the citation of the case will say state of Wisconsin or state of whatever it is versus usually Fins Ligas, where you are held as a surety for it. As a lot of people already know, that cow has been milked so much regarding Fins Ligas that that cow is dead right now. It's dead, and a lot of people are still huddling around a dead cow with fly buzzing around it with maggot coming out of it. Proceed to move on. And when you're moving on, evolving within the stages of awareness and a hierarchy of what solution is, rather than getting stuck in the introduction, you'll begin to realize is whenever any claim is brought against anyone under any given circumstance by the tortfeasors. Now, we're excluding everyday man and woman going after one another. And even if the everyday man and woman goes after one another and they eventually use an attorney and they find some way to invoke this thing called the public trust doctrine, what they will do is they will bring the power of the state of whatever it is against you. Yeah, sure, the defendant is usually Fins Ligas, but who is presumed to be the one under the obligation or under the liability of pains and penalties? You are. Now, whenever that is done, whenever you see this caption state of whatever versus so and so, what they are effectively doing is they are bringing the power of the people against you. Some state citations will even go as far as to show you right in its face the people of state of so and so versus so and so. Regardless of whether the verbiage Wisconsin is in all capital, regardless of whether the state of Wisconsin is different from Wisconsin state of whatever state is different from state of whatever, regardless of the structure and derivative it's used, it nonetheless remains that the power of the people are being brought against you, more so in a manner where it ought not to be that way. When did you give consent for attorneys to use the power of the people to crucify you, your loved ones, your friends, your family, and everyone else? Now, yeah, you got some case dismissed in the past, all right? But how about you go to the core of the issue so that the issue itself is not perpetuated? Because while you might have gotten away, 9 out of 10 people are not getting away. And the ratio is far greater than that small number 9. Consider there are millions of people going through this. If one claims they are one of the people or have the right as power granted by the Bill of Rights, the state constitution or federal level, as one of the people, should that not tell you that you actually need to be organized? Should I not tell you that this is not just isolated to just you alone? Because the events that are being created against you is being rinsed and repeat, and there's a mirror reflection of that that's placed in front of many more people. Because in order for a business to be successful, there has to be a system. That which all these states, their enclave subsidiaries are running is simply a business. In order for that business to be successful, there has to be a system. And that system is based on rinse and repeat method, based on what has been perfected to have worked in the past. So while you might have gotten out just for a little bit sometimes in the past, what about everyone else? The scrutiny might still come back at you one day. And even if it doesn't, society at large is still being screwed up. The collective consciousness of things is still being screwed up. So while you might have gotten away with what you got going on, maybe it's time you start thinking about other people, especially if you say you are one of the people. Now, this is not a pity talk about feeling bad for someone or being empathetic towards other people. No. It's about knowing what your duty is and that burden that you have by saying you are one of the people. That's a great burden. I don't think a lot of people realize that. When they say they're one of the people, you have a great, great burden of actively doing things, of actively gathering together with the rest of the people to function in society, beyond looking for someone to just lash out at, beyond looking for just something that makes you feel comfortable so that you can repeat and regurgitate it and live in your own little box of reality of you saying you're a sovereign, of you saying you're of this status. That's delusional. In the past, we've went over this in a video showing a case that was dismissed, and we've explained that as to why the constitutional challenge is important. Because if they're bringing the power of the state of the people against you and you challenge the constitutionality, then that ties everything back into the constitutional fold as it ought to be. And the only reason why they can bring the power of the state of so-and-so or the power of the people of state of so-and-so against you is because they're using that thing called public trust doctrine that we've also went over here on YouTube. So if they're bringing the power of the state of so-and-so against you, should that not bring a red flag in your mind to let you know that you have been usurped? Because, quote, the people of whatever are independent body to themselves that can either choose to be part of the state of so-and-so or not. But they are bringing that power and are using it against you because you have kept quiet. That's another reality of what's really going on beyond people jacking off about things legas, about Sister KV, about a million other trash people go on about. While you're going on about all those other things people speak of, try to look back a little bit and see whether you're going the right route, because you're getting farther and farther away. This is just a little reminder, just a little quick short reminder, words of truth and reality amongst one another. If you're really saying you're seeking remedy and solution, at least you can do for yourself is to be honest with yourself as to what's really going on in the dynamics of how things are being enforced. Once you comprehend that, you will clearly see why every time you bring claim against them, why they categorize you as a private man, and that whenever you want to invoke the public trust doctrine, you merely saying that I am one of the people of the state of so-and-so is insufficient. You have to then bring forth the substantive right called the right to petition, wherein it says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibition of the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, press, right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for redress and grievance. In other words, Congress can make no law prohibiting the right of the people to petition for redress and grievance. So if you're saying that you're one of the people, you better be bringing more people to be doing redress and grievance in that specific matter and show how it affects the public at large, so that you can effectively now flip the game to the proper position of how it ought to have been in the first instance. Otherwise, they will keep bringing the power of the state of so-and-so or the power of the people of the state of so-and-so against you. Even better, why don't you invoke the power of the redress and grievance when they bring the power of the people against you? Why don't you show your true capacity in standing as being one of the people itself by getting other people to do redress and grievance affidavits regarding that same matter to show that you are one of the people? Because whenever criminal or civil suppositions are brought against people, the presumption is that that man or woman that's being held as surety is a danger to society. And based on a public trust doctrine, they put themselves in a position to protect the public at large. So now they will, quote, prosecute you criminally or civil contractual fines. So if the power of the people is what they're claiming, and you say you are one of the people, why not invoke the right of redress and grievance in each case that goes on? Therein lies one of your remedies. The least you can't say is someone never told you about it. See, most people, when they deal with tortfeasors, they react. And reaction is merely just an emotion waiting to be expressed. An emotion just sitting there waiting for the right opportunity. Even if you don't consciously, deliberately wait for the right opportunity to lash out at someone, that reaction will speak for itself. Reaction can only lash out in one or two ways. With fire that is not guided by competence, or with fire that is guided by competence. Let the latter be the category that you fall under. Let the impulse and the reaction, which is just an emotion waiting to be expressed, let it be competence. If you say you have rights, if you say you are one of the people, then know what it truly means to be one of the people, beyond just carrying on that word and hoping some magic is going to occur. See, experience is the best teacher. People are not stupid. You, the one listening to this, you're not stupid. And because you're not stupid, you know the fact that what you're listening to is true. You may not accept it as the truth, but given that experience is the best teacher, you go through your experience. Because you can know something, but just because you know something doesn't mean you're going to accept it as being the truth. The issue is, you know that you're one of the people, but you've yet to accept the fact that you don't know how to bring forth the power of one of the people. And therein lies the problem. But if you're arbitrarily convinced that just because it says one of the people and you've read some stuff somewhere and it makes sense, you're now claiming to be one of the people, but you don't know how to bring forth the power of one of the people, and you don't know the doctrines involved and how they use the power of one of the people against you, then experience will teach you otherwise through pain, grief, sorrow, loss, and anger. If you're smart, you will snap out of that reaction mode of will without competence and begin to seek competence in education, so that you can truly evoke and invoke the power where you're saying you are one of the people, beyond just writing it on a piece of paper and sending it certified or registered mail and hoping something would just stick. Truly invoke the power of redress and grievance if you're saying you're one of the people, because that is the way the power of we the people is used. If you cannot show that you are organized, if you cannot show that you are in fact the government is just any organized group of people who come together, aka Congress, for any given intent. If you're saying you're one of the people and you don't have people with you to enforce redress and grievance, because the government is what you have consented to be created, then something is still amiss in that whole equation. Sit back and be truthful to yourself for a moment. Being able to deal with your own issue privately is good, and everyone running around seeking to be private. That's not going to get you too far. At some point, you will need other people. And if many private men can come together and do something, that is where things really begin to change. But even then, you can say you're private and you can have a lot of people come together. If you're still incompetent, and if you really don't see the simplified truth of the intricacies of how this quote system works, regardless of what type of system it is, if you're even clear about what type of system it is in the first instance, if you're not competent, you will keep getting your ass kicked. Just a little word of truth, just a little sit down for someone who actually cares about you, and this thing called rights. With a whole world of misinformation, hype train, gung-ho, a lot of angry people who are incompetent. Be angry. It's your right to be. But the least you can do for yourself and everyone else is to pair competency with that anger. Then maybe your anger could be deemed purposeful. You can be angry all you want. If you are incompetent, you are not getting any remedy. If you think sounding sophisticated in a conversation or on a piece of paper is what competency is, then quite obviously you don't get it. If you think just lashing out at people is what competency is, and just throwing words out there about Constitution, we the people, then something is still missing in the equation of your mind as to the reality of things. You gotta start educating yourself about how reality works. None of us knows everything. But the least you ought to do, that you owe yourself, to throw your anger to the side a little bit and prioritize competence over that anger of yours. These words sound a little bit, maybe a little bit harsh, maybe. But if someone is not speaking to you honestly, the same people that you're saying are tortfeasors that you don't like, they will keep winning. They will keep laughing at you, because one thing that they are confident about, when it all boils down to it, is that you are not competent. The moment you become competent, beyond merely just using words just for the sake of using it, beyond just merely looking for someone to just hand you something, that's when you really begin to do something. When your spirit is one with the law itself, that's when you change things. The quicker you're honest with yourself and to see that the issue truly lies within you, the quicker remedies and solutions will come to life and reveal themselves. Get off the bandwagon. Hey, beautiful people. I'm inviting you to come join my Patreon page. We speak about everything we don't speak of here on YouTube. On the Patreon page, we speak of establishing privacy in many different means, how to hold tortfeasors liable, the different types of discharge, and the steps to actually do it. Now I'll be showing my own proof of the success, the intricacies involved in why and how it works, and the things no one else would tell you because they've never discharged themselves. The intricacies of settlements, suing people, and many other basic things like other tools that you can use privately, things of spiritual nature, because this goes beyond what you observe with your five senses. And if you just want to limit your remedy to just what you observe with your five senses, think again, because the other side is not playing in that realm. It's not an even playing field. Other things like study tools are shown, things regarding trust and asset protection, and how to layer trust properly the way people seek it, and the advantage of how to do it, banking, the functionality of how they function, and the validity of it that a lot of people misuse or are misled by, where they think, oh, these other guys are bad, so now I have to just go into argument mode. No, you don't always have to argue. The law is perfected for your benefit if you're competent about it. Many things regarding child support, different examples of settlement checks, and the videos on it, the different aspect of how you can broaden your mind internationally beyond the little chicken scraps that people are picking up when it comes to passport and things of that nature, how banking work, how property protection work, the details of copyright, tort, privacy, different types of trust, the intricacies, and exactly why and how they are done, the intricacies that people from other parts of the world know about trust that you don't. Just because you read something on social media and whatnot doesn't mean you really got it. The intricacies of how to use certain jurisdiction and the stuff everyone speaks of. More in child support, more in trust, more in court, more in spiritual nature of things, etc., etc. The fact that tax avoidance is different from tax evasion. The importance of things in commerce and how to actually function in commerce. How to actually really do things as a natural person is beyond speculation. But let me give you this caveat. If you're looking for a cookie cutter or some quick fast food way, this is not it for you, either here on YouTube or on Patreon.
But if you're serious about your education and the functional application of it, rather than the mere accumulation of information, then come on over on Patreon. There are things we speak about over there that are universally and exponentially beneficial compared to that of the ones we speak of on YouTube. And more importantly, the practicality and the actual use of it. Take care. Best of luck.